funny part is about having a kid, you gotta do stuff that's on their sleep schedule.
Yeah.
So at 7:00, I be trying to have his little ass in the bed.
Like, yeah, 7:00.
Yeah, bro. He only 2, so I let him go in there. He just talk to himself. I be like, bro, I don't care what you do. He ain't got the climbing out. When they start climbing out the crib?
Landon was most definitely climbing out the crib by like 2. I want to say it was like 2, and we would try to figure out how he would climb out the crib. And when we watched the camera in the room, he would legit grab, because we had the crib with the changing table attached to it and everything. He would hold on to the changing table and swing his legs over and then just drop to the floor. And it's like, all right, I'm out. What's good? I'm out the crib.
Bruh. So he has a Spider-Man in there. Spidey is his size. That's the fun part, right? So Spidey will be in there and be like, he'll be in there with Spidey, and what he'll do is he'll talk to him. So I have to listen to him talk to Spider-Man, but it's on the camera. So I'm like, it's all good, man. It's all good. Y'all, I want to welcome everybody to the Black Dads Club. This is going to be interesting. I don't know what we're calling this yet. I don't know if it's going to be conversation with Pops.
Yeah.
I don't know. I ain't going to lie to y'all because I might change it. But anyway, I have Mod in here with me. How you doing, sir?
What's going on, man?
Before we get started, where are you from? Let's do that.
I'm from Seaport. I'm from where the camera's at. Shout out to 912. Yeah. But I'm from Savannah, Georgia. Born and raised. So low country boy. And I've been in Charlotte now for about 6 years.
How was that transition? Because you be down. First of all, Savannah's different.
Yes.
I like Savannah. I only been there once that I can remember. Well, actually like 2 or 3 times. But the last time I went, I was down there. We was in Augusta, and we went to Savannah to party.
Okay.
Don't know. And it was fun watching all the girls down there with heels walk on the cobblestone wherever it was at.
They were most definitely tourists.
Yeah.
That's a tourist thing. We be like, look at y'all. Y'all downtown with heels
ankles
on,
up.
Getting carried.
How's that moving?
For me, it was a pretty smooth transition.
Okay.
When looking to relocate, I knew I didn't want to go to Atlanta. Nothing's wrong with Atlanta. I love the A. A lot of my friends were already there, but I was like, I want something, that's faster than Savannah, slower than Atlanta. So Charlotte was, and I've been banking too. So Charlotte was the perfect place to go to. But yeah, it was a smooth transition. I'm hella extroverted, so I literally moved here, and I knew Gerald, shout out to Chance. Those are my homies that did live up here. One of my boys ended up moving the next week after I moved here. And so yeah, just got up here and was like, you know what? I'll figure it out. Just let me get here.
Bruh, always have wanted to move. Funny enough, my parents, they listen to this, they're gonna be like, what the hell? We was about to move to New York, and I was scared because I'm like, my people down here, and it's like changing. When you moved, did you have kids? Was you married and kids yet or not?
Yeah. So what we did, me and my now wife we were still dating. Landon was he was 1. So we came up with a plan because he was so young.
Yeah.
We didn't want, like, both of all of my family is from Savannah.
Yeah.
So and her, so we were like, they'll stay home. I'll go to Charlotte for a year.
Yeah.
Get established, and after his second birthday party, then they'll move up to Charlotte.
How did that work?
It worked.
How often you came back home?
We rotated. I'll go down 1 month. They will come up 1 month.
You.
Then, a little in between things, and maybe 2 weekends out the month that we did something like that.
There you go.
So so it was pretty cool when I went down right before the move up. I proposed.
Okay.
Then come up, fiance, bring the kid up.
Yeah.
And do the whole little shebang.
All right, so we got a thing. Before we get in your life story, I just realized that's the other funny part about this. First of all, me and you been in here talking for like the last hour.
Yeah.
Let's get that out the way.
Just vibing.
Just
vibing.
Told my wife, I was like, don't worry, I'm going to be home by 8:30. She was like, put some money up. I was like, huh? I'm like, well, I've never met him before. So, it's going to be quick because I was like, what if he weird? Like, I got to get this over with. To put this in perspective, I wrote you maybe, you was probably the 6th person I wrote. So I gathered emails, and when I say it like that, you was the 6th person I sent the email to.
Okay.
You signed up for the first date, and I was like, oh, it's go time. My man is ready. And I was like, oh, we already a year behind. But it's a fun thing we like to do on the Black Dads Club is we like to do a dad tip of the week. The reason why we started this, I told you a little bit about it. If you're a fan of the podcast, you already know I'm a maternity photographer. And in that, I come across a bunch of dads, some that are young.
Okay.
And I call people young. I'm 34. We the same age.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's not uncommon for me to have a 25-year-old, sometimes you get to 27-year-old who, you know, they got the corporate job, they ready, but it's their first time parenting, and it's different from when our parents was having kids.
Yeah.
Right? So what is a tip that you can give dads?
A tip that I would give dads would be to play into your child's strengths. I think that's very important because as men, we can operate in ego. How many times have you saw the guy that was a cornball in high school and now they have a kid and they're living out their hoop and football dreams? Yeah. And they're living out their hoop and football dreams and the kid doesn't even like it. The kid may not be good at it.
Yeah.
And I know personally one of my friends, he expressed like how his dad tried to force all these sports on him growing up. He wasn't really into that. So he purposely went and played soccer. His daddy wasn't really into soccer.
Yeah.
Played soccer. He fell in love with soccer. So he was like the hell with football and everything. So we're going to do that. So I think it's important to play into their strengths when your kids are young as well. I think with African Americans in general, you know, we're so used to what we think things are supposed to look like. Yeah. So we'll shut off kids' dreams just because it's the unknown for us. Yeah. So I think if you can, the earlier you can start that, like the better.
Yeah. You know, I laugh at that because I went to college and I should have went to college. I wanted to go to college. Yeah. But you know, the more I look at it, it was something my dad just like forced. Yeah. And so it was funny because me and him had that conversation. It was like, yo, he was like, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna send Roman to school.
That's a cool name, Roman.
Yeah.
Shout out to Roman.
Shout out to Roman. And he was like, really? I'm like, yeah, man, I don't think I'm gonna send him to school. And so he was like, why? And so I was explaining to him like, you can go to YouTube University now. You know what I'm saying? It's so many avenues for us. Yeah. And a lot of it is knowing better. Yeah. You know, our parents, I love to, I would say, you know, my dad was born in the 60s, but like things were different then. You know what I'm saying? Different. A lot of different, we coming out of just, you know, segregation still at, you know, coming out of that. Then he's a teenager during the crack era. It's like so much difference. And I say that to say like for them, people got through that. First thing up is like, yo, y'all got to go to college.
Got to go to college.
And like now I'm looking at, yo, what interests you? Because I went to school for computer software and I should not have went to school for photography. I'm glad I didn't. Gotcha. I'll be pissed. But I had different interests in something. It would have been cool to know. I knew I liked photography in college. Yeah. But it would have been cool to know like, yo, all right, maybe you should take business classes since photography interests you. Learn something in business.
Get that foundation.
Yeah, so it's super cool there. Let's talk about your upbringing. So we know you from Savannah. Tell me about your parents. Were they married? No. Like, how was that? Okay.
Parents were not married. So my upbringing was interesting because single parent household. Shout out to moms holding it down. But for a certain period, my mom was married. Okay. So it was like single parent household. Mom gets married. I forgot how long. It was for a good minute. Yeah. Then divorce happened. Okay. So it was like single parent. Now I got a joint parent situation. Oh, now we're back. Now we're back to our roots at this point. But that was just a situation I would say for my upbringing. My dad. This is a disclaimer. Where's the camera? I can look at it.
You can look straight ahead. There you go.
I love my dad. If you're watching this interview, I love my dad.
And send it to 5 other dads that you know.
There we go. But now we about to get into some real shit.
Oh gosh.
But me and my dad's relationship, it was very consistently inconsistent. Okay. I can say that. He was in the picture, he was out the picture. Yeah. He was in the picture, so it would be like sometimes I would see him for a couple of months, then he'll probably go ghost I always thought I was a middle child out of 5, but then we just found out we had a new sibling a couple years ago. So now it's 6 of us. Yeah. But so yeah, he was just in and out, and we honestly didn't get a real relationship until I became an adult. But my stepdad was there. He was there to, you know, take me to events, be supportive in that aspect. I always thought we didn't have the best like relationship, as in like me learning like a whole bunch of stuff, because he was just a very cool, calm, collected guy. Yeah. But he was there to support, you know, the things I wanted to do. But yeah, shout out to moms.
Let me ask you this. Did you ever ask your dad why?
Oh yeah.
Did you ever get an answer that would suffice? Like, I don't need to know the answer, but did you ever get one? Because I always wanted that. Let me, and where my camera at? Pops, my bad. You know, I only met my grandfather. I never remembered my grandfather at all. Okay. Right? My dad loves to tell the story at one time as a kid. You know, you have 2 kids, right? Yeah. And you know how it is. Kids will just say anything. Yeah. Apparently, when I was a little kid, I told my dad, "You don't have a dad." And it threw him off because I was little. And I guess he asked me why. And I said, well, I ain't never met him. Yeah. So he took me to go meet his dad. And he was, you know, it was tension from what I've heard because I don't remember this shit. Yeah. And so it was one of those conversations of, yo, I just wanted you to meet him. You ain't gonna never see him again. And so I always, and it's funny because my goal was to have my dad be the first guest because I wanted to ask him. And I guess I'm gonna start asking all these other dads, like, why? Like, if you ever ask them why, because, you know, but my next follow-up question to you is like, how did that change or how did that help shape the relationship you have now with your kids? Because I imagine that inconsistency made you say, oh, because that's what it did to my pops, at least. Yeah. You know, and sometimes it can go either way where it don't do it for you or do.
Yeah, I can say when we had the conversation and he just admitted that he was just scared. He's like, he was young. His dad wasn't around. Yeah. He didn't really know, you know, like what to do. Like, is he doing this right? Is he doing this wrong? So it was kind of like a, you know, fight or flight type situation. And my boy, first class, got the hell up out of there. Yeah. but no, that entire situation just made me, when I had kids, I would always say, I know what I'm not going to do. When I have kids, like, I'm going to do this. And like, when I have my son, I'm going to make sure I do these type of things with him, or I'm going to make sure I'm present. So that really kind of always fueled me. And that's something that I do a lot. Typically, I'm fueled by anything negative. I'm going to take it, turn it into something, something positive from it. So it impacted me in a great way to where I now have a really good relationship with my kids.
Did you, do you ever felt like to gain that relationship with your pops, you had to forgive him?
Yeah, the forgiveness piece was hard.
I bet.
Just because it was years of resentment. I don't even mind sharing the story. It was a funny story. He reached out to me when I was in college. I was getting ready to go to Panama City on spring break. It's like, hey, I need a paper for your shout out to PCB during the real years. Yeah, that was what, like the 07 and all the way up like 2012. That was the real. But yeah, back to Daddy. But
that's a whole nother segment.
Yeah, whole nother podcast interview about the real spring break that we got a chance to experience. But yeah, we had that conversation. He reached out to me. He needed paper to be on his insurance. Like, okay, cool. Proof of being in school. Gave it to him. I literally did not hear from my dad until that next year. On the same day. Saying, hey, I need this paper. Because this year I was getting ready to go to Miami. I was getting ready to go to Miami. Yeah. And he reached out. And I always remember between that time saying, if I talk to my dad, like, I'm going to let him have it. And we're going to do whatever. And when he called, I just asked him questions. Like, I haven't heard from you in a year. You know, XYZ words were exchanged. And I just lost it. Probably the most disrespectful conversation I've ever had. And just very emotional, just because it's like you weren't there type situation. Then after that, we linked up for lunch while I was on lunch break one day, and we just had a really, really like deep conversation. And I was like, I forgive you because I can't really be holding on to that. And I really want to move past. I was like, I really don't feel like I need a dad right now. I'm 20, I think I was like 22 at the time. I was like, but we could be like homeboys. Yeah. We could be real good friends. And that's really what our relationship is. We have a really good friendship, really good relationship
and this day. You know what's funny about that is, so I have a great relationship with my pops. Yeah. I grew up with both of my parents. But me and my dad didn't get cool till I was in college. Yeah. And he's like my homeboy. You know,
and it's funny because when you grow up in a single parent household, you automatically see the joint parent and you think, oh, they just have the best relationship. Yeah. But I really realized that with a lot of guys, they're like, me and Pops really got tight when I got older. So.
Yeah, and so and also I grew up in the church where it was a lot of it was more people with their dads than without. Yeah. We even had single parent dads in our church. And I'm gonna keep it real, and I know a couple of them listen to this. It's only 2 of y'all who I felt like had good relationships with their dads. Even though their dad was there every day. Yeah. But for me, my dad was he was young when he had me. Like he was 21.
Okay.
Like, you know what I'm saying? And I think about where I was.
He's figuring it out.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And my mom 18. So figuring out, both of them. And I'm thinking about them. I'm like, yo, if I would have had, I think at 21, I was at Panama City Beach. I was like, yo, if I would have had a kid, it would have been a hell nah. Like, you know what I'm saying? And so it's funny now because when I got to college, I think he finally was like, all right, I can take at least a half a step back. And like now, me and him talk about everything. You know? The problem now we have is he be at work and people tell him about the podcast. So he called me a couple days ago, like, yo, so let's talk about pillow talking. I heard that's the topic. I'm like, man, if you don't get the hell off my phone, man. But it's funny though, let me ask you this.
Okay.
Let's talk about this dad community, man. First of all, you have a brand.
Yeah.
Active Dads.
Yes, sir.
It is, first of all, hold on, where my hand claps at? This is the ghetto part because I got to pick up the hand claps. You can't hear the hand claps, but they can. Kudos to the wife. Your website was impressive to say the least.
Got you.
And I got to do that. I went to school for computer software. I know how to build websites. There's always simpler ways to do websites, and I'm not here to guess how your wife did it. But the fact that she got you there is hands down amazing and a blessing. And I don't think people understand how great, how relieving it is to know that you got a woman at home that support.
Yeah.
Because my wife supported me even in this, you know what I'm saying? And she ain't even black. You know what I'm saying? But it's interesting because to see your website, to see it's professional, to read your blog, to see the merch, to see the book, to see the health tips on there. I was thoroughly impressed, man. So, but before we get there, tell me about Active Dads. Like, how did it start?
So, Active Dads began after I had Landon. More, my wife had Landon. After we had Landon,
y'all had him.
Yeah, after we had Landon, she was just telling me about a lot of like mom groups she's joined. Like, oh, I'm in this mom group on Facebook. Okay. Oh, these girls are talking about this. Oh, I'm learning this from that. And I'm like, okay, cool. Let me go look up something for the dads. And I'm like, what the hell is this?
They don't care about us.
It was like I could barely find any dad organizations. I'm not a big Facebook group person. Okay. I think they're kind of awkward because you have some people that live for those things. And I was in one group, but it was just very weird. I was like, no, this ain't really my cup of tea. So
don't get in the Charlotte group on Facebook.
Oh,
it's ratchet.
The Instagram is ratchet.
Yeah.
So the Facebook page has to be
worse.
A reflection of that. So I just sought out to say, hey, let me make something that's gonna allow guys to get together. Then on top of that, I did not want just the best dad ever shirt. Like, so I really started off with merch. Okay. And I was like, let's come up with some cool stuff that dads can wear because best dad ever, number one dad, all that. You know how the stores are for Father's Day. Bruh. It's very, we used to have a whole lot more. Now we probably got enough stuff to fit on this table. Bro. Horrible. So yeah, man. So I just really went into it, did that, and then from there, I'm a natural connector. I've realized that about myself. I like getting people together. I thought everybody could do that, but as the older I grew, now I realize that it's a talent to just get people together. Facts. So I would say, hey, like now if I'm going to the park, let me hit up these guys, and we're gonna all take our kids to the park together. Yeah. Then as you grow, you realize that more people are having kids, and it's one of those things where I feel women grow up everybody grows up in a household with a mom. Not everybody, but majority of people. Motherhood, what mothering looks like is always mimicked. Because of how the African-American household was set up, it was a lot of dads present. Absolutely. So for a lot of guys, they're trying to figure that out. Absolutely. Like, where do I take my kid? Like, I can take them to this play date or I can take them to the park. Like, daddy's going ice cream and parks the kids to death. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff out there. So I just wanted to create a community, for guys to figure it out together, but then to also have that support in the end.
I've started brands, different things. Yeah. Started podcasts. I've stopped podcasts. I've started photography services. I've stopped photography services for sure. The reason why I'm saying that is no matter what you start, nothing starts in just works or is
Yeah.
great or perfect is a better word.
Yeah.
How was it starting Active Dads? Because like you said, you started with just merch.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna keep it real. I didn't want to cut you off. I hate the best, we don't, first of all, boy clothes are ugly.
Dinosaurs, trucks, robots.
And that's it. And like, first of all, boy clothes are ugly. And then second of all, there's only like 3 dad t-shirts in any store. That like it's terrible. Matter of fact, at
Best
the hospital,
dad ever is like everywhere.
everywhere. And that's it. And it's like the rest of it got to be customized. And to make a point of it, like even in the hospital, they try to make like dads not seem like there. I don't know how it is in Savannah.
Yeah.
But up here, bruh, they walked in with the paper, like for me to fill out, for her to fill out. They walked past me, handed it to her, and they were like, you could put the dad's name down here if you wish. And I'm like, damn.
If you wish.
I was like, yo, don't put Drake or Derek Jeter down there. Like, that's what I'm thinking in my mind. I told her.
Damn, y'all strict.
Yeah, look, man. So, but how was it starting your brand? How was it starting Active Dads? Like, was it difficult?
I would say initially, a lot of difficulty was in my mind. I would say just like, can you do this? Like, how is it going to be received? Because initially, a lot of people didn't feel that, or like, oh, it's needed. It's crazy. Even with a lot of the stuff that I'm doing now, like some of the feedback, not necessarily from anyone involved, but just from the outside looking in.
I know
They don't need all that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like society is so accustomed to dads being this, either not there. If they are there, they're just in the house, not doing as much with the kids. Shout out to all the dad tribes that I know, because I know guys that I was on the phone with my best friend BJ, in the parking lot here, and he was like, yeah, me and my daughter, she's already eaten, she's bathing her, I'm gonna wash her hair, braid her hair, this, that. And when I tell people stuff like that, they think it's like unicorns, that guys actually do stuff like that.
And the crazy part is, even as a married man, take my boy to school every day, pick him up every day. We have fun. Like, I'm there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it is weird. And the funnier part is, I think it's organizations like yours. Yeah. It's the promotions that you do, which I'm so glad about it. Even I'm going to pull up. I'm gonna tell you, the next one, I got to. You pulled up on me, I got to. The thing is so dope to see, because the stigma is changing. But it's, if we don't promote it, and the weird part, the reason why I asked you about difficulties is because dads are busy.
Yeah.
We providing, we're working, doing, which can be seen as the same thing, but we're trying to spend time with our kid. And so getting together for, even though it's like networking and it's us fellowshipping, it's hard to do because, like you said, we tried a year to get together.
just trying to fit into those schedules. And I think that's why initially it was, Active Dad changing the narrative. That was the thing. Yeah. I feel that our generation has done a good job of changing our narrative to the point where, from my perspective, I don't have to really push the change in the narrative thing, because I think it's out there. Yeah. It's a lot of other dad groups. So initially, with the merch and everything, it just took a little bit to catch on. I would get a lot of women that would buy the merch for their guys. Yeah. And because women, lots of times when it comes to being consumers, they see the value, aka they're going to spend the money. Yeah. And they'll go ahead and do that. So then once I remember I planned my first event, I did it back home, because, you're like, I'm doing this and I'm going to do it back home. I want to go back so-and-so. And I remember I posted the flyer on Facebook, had like 80 something reshares, and 2 people showed up. My cousin and one of my really, really good friends, one of my best friends, Tim, showed up to the event. So for me, I was like, all right, cool. Let's not focus on trying to do everything back home. Like, look in the market. You left Savannah. Look in the market where you are. You have, a lot of dads, have the networks and the access to those people. Yeah. So then I just started cultivating events. One of my first events up here was Ice Cream with Dad, and I did it in 2021. Okay. I believe it was 2020 or 2021 when I did the first Ice Cream with Dad. Only 10 guys showed up. It was like 10 or 11 guys showed up at Jenny's. And for me, just like you said, we're so busy. Then I had another baby. Yeah. So the consistency and just trying to do this, then trying to parent, trying to work, trying to go to church, trying to work out, eat healthy. Yeah. You know the checklist of everything we have to do. Facts. So I made a promise to myself, really just fast forward to this year, because last year was good with merch and everything. I said this year you're gonna really put the pedal to the floor. This event, you're gonna bring Ice Cream with Dad back. You're gonna come up with other events. Yeah. And after that, once people saw the consistency, and then also what I've realized with fatherhood, because so many guys don't feel appreciated. Yeah. The post, you will be surprised, like the post that I put up, just like guys are like, hey, I really appreciate that. Yeah. Or if they're at an event and they're tagged when their reels and stuff come out, guys and dads take pride in that. Facts. So once I really figured that part of it out, I feel like I've been doing pretty good.
We got to go back. 2 people showed up to your first event.
2 people. My dogs. My dogs.
Bro, why the hell didn't you quit then? Because let me tell you something. Me and Mike, we have never told nobody this. Yeah. Our first live event, 2 people showed up. And
you put on for them 2 people.
You put on
you act like it's 200 people there.
We had an amazing show. It was funny. One of the people was my dad. It was funny because we was talking about Tiana Trump and I tried to explain. He's like, I know who she is. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Hey, shout out to Pops.
I'm like, this is weird. So, but you know, when you're in that moment and let's start 10 minutes later because people might show up. Yeah. Let's start 10 minutes later. Like, and then you realize like, oh, they not coming. Yeah. And then you start looking at the time you put in. We was giving away stuff. People came by, picked up their giveaway and dipped. You know what I'm saying? So it was a tough time, but it was a humbling moment. Yeah. But then it also teaches you, this ain't gonna be that easy. You're gonna have to work too. Yeah. So why didn't you quit? Like, is it you saw the bigger picture or like?
I want to say it was twofold. For one, I looked at it as don't try to run back home because that's your comfort place. Like like I told you when we were talking off camera, I had a nonprofit for 5 years, highly successful nonprofit. Yeah. I was a party promoter. Yeah. So I was like, you know what? Back home, it's easy. It's gonna be cool. And for some reason, I just looked at it as a lesson as don't always run back to what's easy because it may not be as easy as you thought. Look at where you are now, appreciate where you are, why you moved, and just do the groundwork there. And I'm not a quitter when it comes to things. Now I'm a fuss, scream, cry, do whatever. But after you do all that, it's like, all right, pull up your sleeves, let's get to it. So I just wanted to keep going because I just knew it was a need. And I just like you said, I saw the bigger picture ultimately. And I just knew, for one, the older I get, I'm realizing the importance of slowing down, taking feedback, but being consistent with what you're doing. And for me personally, with this journey of everything with Active Dad, especially this year has been like this year has been my Bobby Brown year for New Edition. Goddamn, the breakout year with everything that's been going on. But it's just been a lot of, just being consistent. Like you said, we are really busy as dads. Yeah. Hold on, where's the camera? We are not the bum dads. Facts. That y'all talk about on Facebook.
We got shit to do.
We got shit to do. And we include the kids in the shit. So back to that. But I've learned, you don't have to do like a big event all the time. You can just do something once a month or even bi-monthly. Just do something just to have it out there because people are going to always look and see. Absolutely. And we live in a social media era right now anyway, so people will always be like, hey, when's the next one? Yeah. And it's something with supply and demand. Like you don't give into the demand, but don't always let them control it. Like, nah, I'm not going, because at first I'm like, oh, this was good. I'm getting a whole bunch of feedback. Let's hurry up and run and do it again. Now, build that anticipation. Yeah. Because you missed it because your ass is busy, and we get that. Yeah. But now when the next one comes, you're going to have 2 months notice. Yeah. To get it.
You better be there.
What you need, I meant to say. Yeah. 2 months notice. Absolutely, for everything. Bruh. After I brainstorm stuff, I'm gonna shoot you a text.
Please do.
Hey, this might happen.
Let me actually look at one day, even though we're gonna get there later. Let me ask you this: when was the moment that you realized, hey man, hold on.
What we got?
The date. We'll get to your announcements later. I'm free that day. What was your oh shoot? I got something special moment. I always say. That guy, the young boy who came to me and told me about his brother's passing, he didn't have any men around him to help him navigate fatherhood. And when I ran into him 2 months later, he told me how he listens to every podcast. Yeah. We have a young guy who exclusively listens to YouTube. Okay. And he wrote in our comments, he said, yo, where y'all at this week? We had an audit because I was changing studio. I told you I was in the hood. And so, And he said, yo, where y'all at? He said, I listen to y'all every week.
Yeah.
He said, but I love the YouTube because I like to see y'all facial expressions. Know
Yeah.
if y'all lying or not. But you know, that was the moment. Those two moments stick out for me to let me know, like, oh shoot, I got something special here.
Yeah.
What was your special moment?
I would say the special moment for me was really this year, some of the feedback I got when we did Ice Cream with Dad. So we're both church boys. We grew up in church. And last year was really good, the events. But when I did the first Ice Cream with Dad this year, a lot of the dialogue that I got from everybody was, make sure you keep going, bro. Yeah. We need this. Yeah. And I'm really big on hearing things in threes. Okay. And before Ice Cream with Dad, I was doing some work and I ran some ideas by somebody. And they were like, hey, this like kind of like kingdom work that you're doing. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah. Kingdom work. All right. Then I get to Ice Cream with Dad, and a lot of the guys, because what I liked about this Ice Cream with Dad, the first one that I did this year, it wasn't, I feel like if you throw an event and you know everybody there, like it's successful, but it's not really successful. I measure the success of my events by the people I don't know. Facts. And this one was a lot of people that I didn't know, like guys just saying, hey, I saw this on Instagram, so I came. And one of the guys pulled me aside and was like, hey, bro, this is kingdom work that you're doing. I'm like, that's the second time I've heard this in the same week. Then a couple of days later, I heard the same as that somebody else. Once I posted the reel, someone said, my coworker, she said, oh, you trying to get into the kingdom doing stuff like this? So you trying to help God save you a seat? Yeah. You doing this good stuff? So I was like, you know what? This some good stuff. So really just after having that confirmation from all those, having that confirmation from all those people, that allowed me to really see the bigger picture and to really fuel myself to keep going.
You talked about earlier, mom's got it all, right? And I always think about why they go through, excuse me, because the country in me, to sound like why, they're going to fry me up. While they go through postpartum, and it's a real thing. To everybody that don't have kids and you wasn't around when your mother of your child was there, that shit real. But there's always resources for them, right? Mm-hmm. Like I look at, from the moment we left the hospital, she was giving pamphlets, like, if you need help. Yeah.
Hotline.
Whatever you need, right? Me, recent dads, my pops reached out to me. You good? You need anything? No. Yeah. How are you doing? And shout out to Corey, and shout out to my pops, them two in particular, because they both hit my line constantly. Yeah. And even my boy, my co-host, he eventually, once we got back in the he's, yo, you good? You good? Yeah. You good? And he gave me all these talks. Dog, I sound country as hell. Leading up to it, like, yo, this is what you're gonna experience. You know, shout out to Mike. And even his brother would hit me up. So it was like, those are the four men who was on my bumper. But it wasn't a lot of resources out there, you know? Yeah. So, you know, and I ran into you probably about a year ago, some change. But I say all that to say, like, why is dad community so important?
To me, dad community is so important. That's a layered response, because we're really navigating. Some of us are navigating the unknown. For me, earlier on in fatherhood, I felt like I had a grip on it, but my blueprint is basically a failed relationship. So I know I can use that to work with it, but outside of that, as when we use moms as an example, you can say, hey, I woke up, mom woke up, and mama did this, that, and the other. Facts. Cool. When it comes to dad did. Still waiting. Yeah. I can't answer it. Yeah. So for that, once I realized that, when I was going through, and similar to you, shout out to Demetrius, Brandon, Broderick. These were all of my guys that had kids already. Yeah. They were able to really, just loop me in and kind of tell me like, hey, do this and do that. And I just realized, hey, I can lean on these guys because I always say I have the best friend circle ever. Yeah. But there are a lot of people that don't have that. Yeah. So with that being said, I really was head on about how do you figure out to create the community for that? I'm a part of the husband hotline group chat. It's a group of all of us that's married. Okay. 5 of us have kids out of that. We all talk. Shout out to Scott Reed and Gentry. One of my boys just had a baby, and we're literally talking about this is his second kid, but we're just giving tips, and everybody's sharing, doing things. We have an Instagram group. It's the Fitness Dad group chat. Shout out to that.
Don't put me in.
And I think I'm gonna go ahead and throw you in there. Nah. They posting workouts right now. When I looked at my phone, shout out to the Fitness Dad group chat. But even in that aspect, I knew that guys needed community because guys aren't easy to crack. Where if I'll talk to a damn tree if I see a tree there and find somebody to talk to. But everybody isn't like that. So this is why introverts are always paired with extroverts, because that balances out. And that goes for relationships, that goes for friendships. So I realized that I have this, and then you see all of these posts online about so many people feel alone. So many guys are going through this. I don't understand how the hell y'all having bottle wars in the club, but then you ain't got nobody to talk to. I feel like that's a case study for whoever's getting their doctorate right now. But with that, I saw the importance in getting guys together, and then if no one's going to break the ice, just breaking the ice. Yeah. I told today's Mental Health Awareness Day. Okay. And I got in our the Fitness Dad Tribe group chat, and I was like, I just want to commend all of you guys because we have some really heartfelt conversations. Somebody would just go in there and say, wellness check, how are you guys right now? And everybody's talking from, work stress, kid stress, we're about to have a new baby stress, just all of the stress in the world because dads do go through stuff.
Absolutely.
And that's something else we could talk about, but just having that community and just sometimes I'll just sit back and reading the responses and everybody's there for each other. It lets me know that men do need other men to pull them up.
I was, me and my wife got into it on a particular, it was a Sunday, right? So I'm pissed off. I'm hot. You married, so I could talk to another person about this, even though it's on YouTube. Bruh, she cooks for herself and the baby, right? Okay. So, she come down, she eat, and she feeding the baby.
What my food?
Remember on Friday when Craig was like, yo, what mine's at? He asked his mom. I hit her with that, and she was like, you can get. I was like, so I'm pissed. And I go through the day, I'm hot the whole day. Yeah. And I to go to your part, that Wednesday, I'm meeting a guy for his birthday, and he has like 5 of his homeboys there. And the guy beside me is married. And I said, and he talks about like, yo, I'm so glad I ain't out here dating. And I'm laughing because I'm like, oh, me too. And then so he's like, yeah, sometimes my wife get on my nerves. And I was telling him what my wife just did. And then he looked at me and he was like, you have every right to be angry. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, I was tight. He said, but I like how you ain't let that 5-second interaction of like that ruin a great relationship. I said, bro, I'm never going back outside. Like it's rough out here. You know what I'm saying? And it's funny because like me and him start talking just about being married. And how that dynamic and how he has a child as well. And we was just talking like it was cool to have that moment. And then he was like, did you ever even talk to your wife about this? I'm like, nah. Well, she's gonna figure it out. She's gonna hear this. And so I told him, I said, nah, it wasn't that serious after that day. Right?
Sometimes you just need to be talked off the ledge.
Yeah. And I said, now that I'm talking to you, I'm definitely ain't talking to her about this. Cause I'm like, it's funny now because I was like, I was pissed. And I had a right to be angry. But it ain't, why hold a grudge over something so small in the grand scheme of things? How could you imagine raising a kid and not being with the child's mom? Because I always look at like, that always scares me. Because I know people that are single dads and I know people that are single moms who have done it. Yeah. Right? But I always look at like, yo, I'm so glad I'm married and doing this thing. And I'm so glad that I have somebody here doing this thing. Because I couldn't imagine like being on, like playing that, not playing that game, but playing, when I say that game, I'm talking about that scenario. I couldn't imagine being in that scenario.
Yeah, we had I'm an open book. We had our moment. Yeah. It's so funny. It's like you have the baby and then you always wonder, it's like, what happens? People have kids. And then it's like around 3-4 months, it seems like all hell breaks loose. Yeah. Which we went through that and we split and we broke. And then, but looking back on it, and it was really one of my friends, my friend Brandon, he reached out to me. He actually talked to both of us because he went through that with his first kid's mom. And he was like, y'all don't want this life.
Yeah.
I don't want y'all to go through this because I know, I know what this feels like, what it looks like. Everybody can glamorize it. But he's like, in this situation, I know y'all are two good people. Y'all just need to get back on track. So I've realized that I think looking back on it, there's so many uncommunicated expectations that we go into things with.
Facts.
And it's because, for one, that's just how you're raised. Like if you have joint parent household and she has single parent household, or vice versa, I'm going to look at parenting from my perspective. Yeah. And they're going to look at parenting from their perspective. Facts. So that's why we talk about it in some of these dad tribe groups, like, have the difficult conversation. What does parenting look like for you? Yeah. Like, my mom she used to cuss us out, but she used to be barking at us if anything didn't happen. My mom, she was a single parent. I worked 2 jobs. My mom was the parent that told the teacher at school, listen, I work 2 jobs. I don't have time to come here with no misbehaving. If my child misbehave, you handle it. If I come up here, it's not going to be good. Mama never had to come to the school. Never had to go to the school. But I think that that is something just to think about when it comes to raising kids. If you guys are compatible, because then on the flip side, you see some people that should have not had, I don't know how to politically say it, but they just shouldn't have had,
Blueface and Krishan.
There we go. We had, I know so much about them and I don't know them, and it's force fed to me, and that doesn't sit right with my spirit. Because I'm like, why do I know this stuff?
I don't follow neither one of them.
Me neither, but it's constantly all over Twitter.
I don't follow everything. I don't follow Baller Alert. I don't follow the Shade Room. Yeah. I don't follow none of these things. I know everything that happens in their house, and it upsets me because a running joke I had in a group chat, in my fantasy football group chat, right? I said, I tell everybody I like Sexy Red, and so
I rock with Sexy Red.
Yeah, so they they be laughing at me. They like, yo, what is wrong with you? And it's not really a joke, but I'm gonna say it's a joke here. Yeah. I feel like Sexy Red is the woman that all the girls have decided doesn't exist, so they ignore her because she looks bad, right? Yeah. And so I was telling the guys that, and I was like, y'all know the same way we do Blueface, because we don't talk about him. Like, no, I have never been in a group chat and the guys are like, yo, how y'all feel about Blueface? Nobody. Who is he? Because nobody follows him. And it's just like, yo, it's a mess, right? Yeah. I couldn't imagine getting a fist fight with my girl's dad. Yeah. I couldn't imagine fighting my girl. Yeah. I couldn't imagine, the ignorant stuff he does. And I'm like, man, but yeah, it is certain people you do run across and you're like, yo, why are y'all having kids? You said his name was Brandon? Yeah. Shout out to him. My co-host loves to say he found out the stuff. He's divorced, right? Okay. And so and he loves to share on the pod. That's the only reason I'm sharing this, is that he loves to say that after his divorce, he met so many people that went through what he went through, and he always asked them, yo, I've known you. Where were you at? Yeah. Because a lot of people don't like to share, hey, I've been through what you've been through. Yeah. Or I've been through such and such. So now when you experience something, everybody thinks, oh shit, this is all new. Nobody else has went through that. But yo, shout out to Brandon, because who knows where you could be at right now? Yeah. Who knows where your marriage, your relation, who knows, bro? And but yeah, I always look at things, man. I'm so glad that my kid is in a home. I don't have to fight over, certain fights that certain other dads have, because the court system isn't made for us.
Of course not.
They don't. First of all, it's not made for black people. It's not made for black dads, especially
2 strikes.
Yeah, it's not even really made for. I watch court TV all the time. The men in there, they get held. You know what I'm saying? The only way the men win, they got to be super rich, and their wife got to be dumb poor, and and white. You know what I'm saying? But it's that's just the real shit. But it's tough. And so anyway, I love these groups. I love everything. So all right, you got some announcements. What are some events that's coming up so I could be there? Go ahead, let me know.
So on the Active Dad calendar, the first event, I have a virtual event coming up next week, and that's going to be on the 18th, 7:30. It's going to be virtual from the Active Dad Facebook page, and this is Active in Autism. It's going to be a virtual panel discussion between myself, some of my other favorite dads who all have kids on the spectrum.
Okay.
Just because I think that autism in the Black community is just so much.
It is.
It's so much. It's like, oh, like you don't want to have labels, you don't want to do this, you don't want to do that. And I think with my oldest, shout out to Landon, Big Lando.
Shout out.
But with my son, it was a lot of, oh, he's fine, don't do this. Oh, he's fine. They'll grow into it. But there are like a lot of resources that you can have. And honestly, it took for one of the guys who's going to be speaking next week, Ace, it took for him to share his story about his daughter being on the spectrum, and he would share videos, and he actually created a nonprofit for autism. But once he started sharing some of that stuff, and I was like, my child has some of the same similarities. Like when I see his kid, I know my kid is doing the same thing. That's what pushed me to get my kid diagnosed. Yeah. Because the doctors kept saying, oh, he responds when you say his name. He makes eye contact. He's social. He plays with kids. Like that's not the typical, but when you become a parent, you just know.
Yeah, it's a feeling.
Something that's, so we push that. So that's what that's going to be. It's going to be really, really good. I got some really good guys. We all actually went to the same college, but sharing our stories and just sharing what our experience was, because for me, it took for somebody to share their story for me to take those necessary steps. Yeah. So anything that I can do to help out the next dad or mom, I want to make sure.
Was it just simply you noticing something, or did somebody ever say something to you? And I'll tell you why I say that. Mm-hmm. I remember my sister was in school and she was studying early educational development. Okay. And I remember somebody in our family, she was like, they're on the spectrum. Like it was somebody's child. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, how do you know? She was like, I have a great feeling. I'm studying about this in school. I've worked with kids on the spectrum. I think they should go get their kids tested. And I'm like, so what you gonna do? She was like, I don't know. It's so sensitive. Because at that time, my sister didn't have a child. Yeah. And she was like, I don't know. And I don't know how I would want to. She said, so the only thing I'm going to just do is, I think what she decided to do was ask them like, oh, have you been getting your kid tested on blah, blah, blah? Mm-hmm. And I think the parent then found out like a few months later, their kid was on the spectrum. But was it, did anybody ever mention it to you, or were you just hearing the story and then saw signs?
It wasn't that. My son had, he did have speech delay. Okay. Which is also something that's common. Yeah. So when we did get him just evaluated, and when kids are young, they can't diagnose them at like 2 or 3 years old. They're like, oh, for me, something clicked then. But they're like, no, you don't want to get wrapped up in that, because it could be this, it could be that, it could just be delayed, X, Y, Z. And I just was never letting go of it. And then like from there, as they grow older, and you just see like some struggles, because it's the cool thing about kids on the spectrum, their strengths are like their super strengths. Yeah. It's like superpowers with stuff. So I was like, oh, they're doing this, they're doing that. But I just remember talking to Eb about it. And I was like, for me, for a peace of mind, it was really when Landon, I want to say it wasn't until he was 3, 3, almost 4. That's when he started talking. He was not talking the entire time. He probably said like 4 words. Okay. Then he just had like this word explosion and just started talking and saying stuff and everything. So you're like, oh, okay, he's talking now, it's fine. But I just still wanted that, because when we changed schools, there was a behavioral difference. And I was like, we've never had these issues before, and we just found out that little East Side High that I won't name that we had my child at, I still got it out for y'all. But
I love how black people could throw in references and other black people
Eastside,
like I get it.
Had my child at East Side High, and it was not working out. But once we changed schools, everything did change. Yeah. And just wanting that peace of mind. So when we went, they did the testing and stuff, and they were like, like he's on the spectrum. The doctor was saying, he's considered high functioning because, he does all of these things. He struggles with some things, but most kids like that, as long as you keep them in therapy, and do the right things once they get older, they just really grasp it.
And the spectrum is so wide.
It's so wide. So
I worked with a guy at the Ritz.
Okay.
Who was on the spectrum.
Okay.
And but I didn't know he was on the spectrum. Yeah. He used to say some slick shit. So
because they're very blunt, they're very straight to the point.
Absolutely. And so I remember one day he said something so slick, and he's a white guy, and it was CIAA.
Okay.
So it was a black joke in it. And I didn't know my man was on the spectrum. And then so I said something. And my wife, because I met her at work.
Yeah.
And I remember she was like, yeah, and so she told me, she was like, he's on the spectrum. Like,
Yeah.
I understand you're upset, but he's on the spectrum.
Yeah.
Like the job. She was like, yeah. She said, you know, he's number 2 in our class in college. I said, what? And it took her explaining.
Yeah.
Yo, the spectrum is wide.
Very wide.
And you know, it's certain things that people struggle with more than others. And you never know. She said, no, he's highly intelligent. He's in a major that he knows.
Yeah.
And he goes so far into that. Like,
yeah.
is dialed up, like you said.
Yeah.
She said he's highly intelligent. And you know, the guy was telling who I used to work out with the studio, and I remember he was talking to a young lady who had a son, and he was like, I'm telling her she needs to go get her son checked. He's like, cause he worked with kids on the spectrum. Yeah. He's like, her son is highly intelligent. Yeah. But he said she's afraid, and you know, so it's great hearing that story, and I know that's going to help people. Yeah. All right, what's the other event you got?
Next after that, we got Dad's Night Out. Because Daddy got to have a life too.
Y'all outside?
So, Dad's Night Out is something I've been working towards bringing back, and it's just different little small link-ups. Okay. The last one we did at Rose Bar. It's like a happy hour special. Okay. Everybody just linked up, you know, met some guys. So this time, we're going to do Cigar Lounge. Okay. Go to the Cigar Lounge, you know, kick it, drinking some whiskey for like an hour and a half, network, chop it up. Okay. Just because, just like you always see, mom needs rest, mom needs decompress. The daddies that's handling their business need this stuff too.
Look, facts.
They need this stuff too.
Support black dads. Support active dads. Yeah, that's cool, man.
That's pretty much for now. And I'm going to be. I'm in phase 2 of active dad right now with some things. So I have.
What that mean?
So with phase 2, we're working on now getting the dad tribes off the ground. Shout out to the Ice Cream with Dad tour, which was hella successful. I did not do it all by myself because I don't like asking for help. This year, help me, please. So, but with that, shout out to Memphis, James, TA, and Raleigh. Shout out to Ryan. Lord, what's my other boy name? The boys in Augusta gonna kill me. In Atlanta, Broderick, Corvin, Tony Mitchell, all of those guys. So I've created these dad tribes, and ultimately it's going to be it's like little dad support groups. Yeah. But then also with that, it'll be allow active dad to host little small events in different cities. That's so dope. Just trying to formulate how to get these things off the ground and running. Because after we did Ice Cream with Dad in each city that wasn't Charlotte, the guys were like, all right, what's next? Yeah. You done came here. You done did this. We all out the house.
You know what you need to do?
What we doing now? So,
yo, whoever's listening to this, we need Ice Cream with Dads. When Black Enterprise does their father conference, you need to have an Ice Cream with Dads there. Gotcha. I don't know who's listening. Gotcha. Who has a connection there. Hey. But we put it out there in the air.
Tap in.
Please
tap in,
and then you can get the Black Dads Club to do a podcast while we're there.
There we go.
Look at that. Look at God working.
See, we going 2 things. God will work a thing.
He will. You know, and the reason why I'm saying that to you is because I've been looking at just, why don't we have dad conferences, Like, it don't have to be like, we don't need a week. We don't need 4 or 5 days. It could be 3 days. It could be 2 days. It could be in a major city. It could be, but everybody has something, right? Like
that is something I'm looking towards because when I did the virtual, a lot of the feedback that I got from the surveys were this was so good it needs to be in person.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe it. And I looked at and I was telling somebody, shout out to No Grease here. They allowed us to have 2 live shows there. Okay. And it was just an amazing experience just to be there. But it was one of those things where they were just like, yo, like, I'm gonna keep it real. I'm keep it a buck, and I don't mean for y'all to come flood come flood the market, but it's only really like 3 active Black Dad podcasts out there. Yeah, and we're one of the 3. Now it's a bunch. Yeah, but they not active, and they fall off, and we know why dads fall off on certain things because we are providing. We busy. Let's just keep it there. And so with us and the 2 above us that are more popular that have been out longer, they're seasonal podcast because we're busy. Mm-hmm. And so with people that does things consistently, even if it's not consistent, we're trying, you know what I'm saying? I always say, somebody can put something together.
Yeah.
And I would love to see that happen. I would love, you know, that's why I reached out to you, and I'm glad we got connected earlier, because I'm like, yo, I was seeing what was going on. I was seeing the ice cream with dads, and then I'm in my mind, I'm like, yo, we got a podcast. I need every week. We always looking for slides. I know you when you came in, you know, this is a little fourth wall of the podcast, but we have a, you know, behind the scenes, we have the outline, and I'm, you know, it was full because I like. When people have stuff, I'm like, please let me know. Yeah. You know, when No Grease was having stuff, I'm like, please let me know. Yeah. Shout out to Sheena. She has Alpha Male Nail Care. I'm like, please let me.
She reached out to me too, and I still have her information. She reached out to me during Father's Day.
When I say super cool, one, for you just to connect, because she only have male clients.
Got you.
And it's super dope because she's always said she's not going to have female clients. Yeah. She's like, the man needs something. Yeah. And that's all she does. So, you know, it's super cool there. But I'm super glad for that. All right. So we've never done this before. We don't even do it. I mean, the joke is we ask questions where I get to ask Mike questions on the Dad Pod. And I was waiting to see if my wife already texted me like, told your ass.
You over your time.
And she was right. She know me. But that's why you get married. But always, the funny part is we ask Mike questions, right?
Got you.
The reason why that's funny is because only the ladies right, Mike.
And shout out to Mike.
Yeah, and I always laugh at that because I'm like, yo, where the dads at?
Well, where the dads?
They like, nope. The ladies are like, yo, we want to cuss you out. We got questions. But anyway, I do have a question for you. And this question, hold on, let me pull it up. See, you see me, I did an outline for you. Now, to anybody else that comes on this, you might not get an outline because I might not be prepared. I'm always, look, bro, I'm always like trying to figure this out. Man, I'm over here looking at the wrong form. All right, here we go. Still not the right shit. That's why. Here it goes. All right, here we go. Looking at the first question. This is from a mom as well. Dads, please send us in questions. God dang it, man. New mom here. Small issue, if you can even call it that. My baby father is afraid to hold the baby.
I don't blame him.
I can understand it's something new that he's never really done before. He's loving, kind, and compassionate. Shout out to this black woman. They always would shoot us bail when the time is right. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes. But we're going to give y'all credit. Y'all do it for us. And I appreciate that. Because she could have not thrown that in there. But she's trying to let us know he good. Yeah. I think he genuinely fears hurting and is afraid to hold the baby. How long did it take you before you were comfortable holding a baby? Any tips or thoughts?
I had to hop in the game.
Okay.
Hop in, sleeves up. Before kids, I was terrified of holding kids. Yeah. Do not ask me to hold your child unless they're 6 months old. And I like fat babies because my fat ass was fat. Yeah. And I had 2 big kids. So if you give me this little frail baby, I'm sending it right on back. Yeah. But yeah, I would say probably after the first month, I was really, really comfortable with Landon. Yeah. Because like I just said, I just didn't like picking up kids. I was terrified. I remember when they first like, you want to hold him? I was like, no, I don't want to hold him right now. Like I held him, you know, you did all that. You do the skin to skin and you do all that cute stuff. But yeah, it just really took time and just really getting comfortable after that. But initially I was terrified, but I'm like, hey, it's my baby. So you kind of.
Yeah. You know.
Kind of got to hold it.
Kind of got to, you know what I'm saying? If you're going to force me, I'm going to hold the kid. I got lucky because my nephew was 10. So when he was a baby, I held him. Got you. But he was the first kid I held, and the second kid I held was mine because I was like, I didn't believe in it. Yeah. I'm not about to be responsible for your kid. And I'm scared. They fragile. What if they pull a football move? I'm going to drop his ass. But I would tell sis this, and you didn't send your name, but it's okay. Matter of fact, I think I got this all on. Don't worry about it. I would say this. Let him sit down. Yeah. You let him cradle his arms and you sit the baby there. Yeah. It's small steps that has to take with men because, you know, as little boys, we don't get to hold babies. Yeah. Like they learn, little girls be excited to hold kids.
They're already groomed. We was playing with wrestling action figures.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And so the girls are taught earlier and then once they, you know, y'all do the, you know, the stuff in high school, I don't even think they send them babiys at home.
I remember the little crimes. Bro.
That was a dumb
They can't possibly doing it these days because
they got real kids.
Hey.
But that part, but it's you know, then once they you know, it's more ladies that's nurses in college and things of that nature. So I would say start with him sitting down, place the baby there. Skin to skin always going to help, because then it turns into he can lay down, the baby can lay on top of him.
Yeah.
And then I always tell dads this, like, sometimes what you have to do is your hand, the palm, put the baby head there, let the baby arm rest there, and you can know it's small steps, but don't try. You know, the weirdest part for me is ladies have a unique way, and I'm not trying to bash the ladies, and I hope y'all don't take it this way. Y'all have a unique way of letting us know that we are unqualified early with infants.
What are you doing?
Well, don't do that.
I don't know.
And and we really don't. And it's not the time to point out, but it is a time to help. Excuse me. So take that time to do that. Take the time to help, to show. Yeah. And I think it'll help. I need a couple things for you, go. First of all, I need, give me your name, give them your Instagram again, give them your website, and any last things you want to say.
All right, so hey, this was good. I just want to put it out there. This was good. But yeah, my full name is Rashimad, but everybody calls me Mod. My Instagram is _active_dad for the Active Dad page. My personal Instagram is at the Mod Father. So hold on, it's like a.
It be like that.
Yeah, it's like a something in there. Yeah, I was right. It's at the _mod. That's MODD. Father, and our website is www.theactivedad.com. Outside of that, I don't come empty-handed. I had to come to the pod. First, this is some daddy stuff right now, because when you become a parent, you keep all birthday party bags because they are expensive and you're cheap.
You can keep the bag.
You didn't get no tissue paper, but
and that's the other thing I love about dads. We do not dress presents up.
Just throw it in there, and we go get it right before the party.
Absolutely,
we're ripping around for the party. But for you, my boy Gavin, thanks for having me. You got your copy of
appreciate that.
Dadformations. Look, you got your book for you.
Absolutely, this is dope.
I got you.
This is dope.
I ain't know what size you were because I only see you on the internet. Never saw you in person, so
I'm buff.
You got your Active Dads only. Let me put it in the camera.
I'm about to say, come on, man, promo that.
There we go. Active Dads only.
Look,
got your Active Dads only shirt to put on. I appreciate
that.
And
these got me the right size.
I just got a large. Like you need a medium, but
I like larges.
Okay, then. You're buff. My boy in the gym.
I'm in the gym. I'm in the fitness group.
And these are some wristbands from the Ice Cream with Dad tour.
Yo, I'm coming.
That I wanted to give you. So this may get you to come out.
Oh, I'm coming.
When we do it again.
Bro, I'm going to pull up because I have to. I appreciate this. Seriously. Yo, shout out to the guest. Now, he has set the standard. For you other dads that signed up, this will be dropped before anybody else comes again up here, all right? Come with gifts. But no, I'm playing, man.
You gotta come. I was raised. I'm a little country boy. You can't go to nobody's house empty-handed.
Southern.
You gotta come with something.
It was funny. I was taking headshots for this lady, and so I was doing all this, and she was talking about all the people in the South. Like, y'all swear to y'all got Southern hospitality, but y'all mean your pants be off your butt. Y'all be rude, blah blah blah. And I laughed. I said, "Where you from?" She's like, "I'm from Philly." I said, "Have you ever met anybody that's born and raised here?" She was like, "No, nobody ain't from here." I said, "That's your problem right there.
That's your problem.
People ain't from here."
She said, real Southern people.
She looked at me. She said, "You right." She apologized, and I laughed at her so much. Anyway, bro, I have to thank you for coming.
Thanks
for pulling up. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thanks for being so open. I know a lot of times people aren't. Like I told you off mic, you share what you want to share.
Yeah.
I think your insight is great. I can't wait to see how Active Dads turns.
Yeah.
I was listening to Joe Budden. I listened to his podcast a lot, and something he said stuck out with me. He said, what you start off in life that you're good at is not what you're going to end up being great at.
Yeah.
And so I want you to take that, because you're in banking. You do that well. You do that great.
Yeah.
This might be that calling for you that takes you to a higher level.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, this full-time gig.
Come on.
Look, we need people on payroll.
There we go.
But I appreciate you, man. And I can't wait to the next conversation, man. You got to come back.
We're going to hang out outside of this.
Absolutely. And with that, look, I want to thank everybody for listening, tuning in. Do me a solid. Send this to 3 dads. This is something we're trying to grow. I'm trying to get these conversations going, and I need more great fathers like my man here. And with that,